back to Mothers of Angels. In the last episode, I talked about the pregnancy experience. Today, I'll talk about the birth of my little angel. As mentioned previously, I was going to have an operation. So we had already made all the bookings with the hospital and doctors. On the 5th of July 2015, I woke up so early in the morning. Actually, come to think of it, I didn't sleep the previous night because I was so anxious. You know how it is when you've been expecting something for a long time and you know you're about to get it. So by 5:30 a.m., we were already leaving the house because the doctor had said that I had to be at the hospital at 6 a.m. in the morning in order to prepare for the operation, which was booked for 7 a.m. The night before, I packed my bag with baby items as well as my clothes, as I knew I was going to spend a few days in hospital. At exactly 7 a.m., I was lying on the bed in the theater, surrounded by the doctors. I was still a bit anxious because I knew I was going to be operated, which is not an easy process, especially for me. After having had 2 C-sections before, I was still not comfortable being in the theater. Everyone in the room was busy preparing for the operation. An hour later, I woke up from a deep sleep. I heard the gyno calling my name, Mercy, 3 times. When I tried to answer, he said, "Congratulations, your daughter is here now." The nurse gave me my daughter. She looked so beautiful and big. She was wrapped in a small blanket without wearing her. I would feel the pain from the operation and I was still a bit drowsy, but couldn't let go of my baby. A few minutes later, the nurses moved us from the theater. When they opened the theater door, I saw my mom standing on the door smiling. Knowing her, she had been praying the whole time for a daughter and granddaughter for everything to go well in the theater. We were taken to the ward and the nurse requested for the baby clothes and bathing towel as she wanted to bath her. After bathing her, she gave me to breastfeed her for the first time. Oh, just imagine the feeling of feeding your newborn baby for the first time. It was such a wonderful experience, something that a mother can never forget. The pediatrician came to the ward to check the baby again before leaving the hospital and told me that she was perfectly fine. He had checked everything in the theater and she was a healthy baby. Later on, close friends and family came to see the baby. It was such a joy for everyone to see this new addition to our family. I was in so much pain this time around, more than the previous 2 operations. Not sure why though. The nurses would constantly come and inject me. I'm one person who doesn't like injections at all, but to get rid of the pain I was feeling, I didn't mind getting several injections. This went on for 3 days. The gyno would also come every day to check up on me and also to see if the wound was healing well. The pediatrician would also come every day to check on the baby. I had already started to move a little bit, as well as bathing and changing the baby. On the 4th day, which was a Saturday morning, the doctor came to discharge me. I had already packed my bag, looking forward to going home with my daughter. My 2 boys hadn't seen their sister because the hospital didn't allow children to visit the hospital. The pediatrician also came as well to see the baby for the last time before we left the hospital. And then he mentioned that he looked like she had jaundice, which is very common in newborn babies. Since I was looking forward to going home with my baby, and also since before they'd mentioned she's fit and strong, we agreed I would make sure I exposed the baby to the sun, which was easy because it was summertime in Zim, so there was so much sunlight outside. Honestly, it didn't seem like a big deal, even to everyone who was there who saw her. My late brother's daughter, who had been born 3 months before, also had jaundice, but hers looked worse. She recovered easily by being exposed to the sun and getting a lot of milk. We got home that same day. My mom took the baby and sat outside the house, and I went to rest a bit since I had not had time to rest during the time I was in hospital. After about an hour, they brought her, my daughter, so I could breastfeed her. This time she didn't suck a lot. So we thought maybe since it was a change in environment, she was still adjusting. We did the same 2 hours later because the nurses had mentioned that she needed a lot of milk to heal quickly from this jaundice. This time again, she didn't suck that much. So we decided to express the milk. Some few hours later, I started feeling that something was not right. So we called our neighbor who was a medical doctor and asked her to check if everything was okay. At first, she mentioned all looked well, but then when she held her hand, she mentioned it seemed she had not gripped my daughter. So immediately we decided to go back to the hospital with the baby, this time a different hospital because the one that I was before was only a maternity hospital. When we got to the hospital, they called the same pediatrician who had seen the baby before, and he recommended that they run some blood tests. Just the thought of having them insert a needle on my small baby's hand really got me very worried. I left the room and went to sit at the reception, leaving my daughter with my mom and my other sister, who had come to see the baby. A few minutes later, they came and told me the doctors were still trying to find the vein. Oh, I was in tears. I really felt sorry for my baby. Didn't understand why she had to go through that. Finally, they found the vein and I heard her crying. I also felt the pain and cried as well. They took us to the ward while waiting for the results. The result showed she had severe jaundice, so they had to admit her immediately in hospital. I used to think I'm a strong person, but this particular day, I realized I was not strong at all. They mentioned they had to treat her with phototherapy that night. I was so down and depressed. I never expected that to happen since everything went perfectly well with the boys. I just couldn't sleep that night. I was so worried about my baby. I was praying that nothing would happen to her. I never imagined the worst, though I was worried. The following day, which was Sunday, the 9th of August, a lot of things happened. I'll share in the next episode. Bye for now.